Hey, how's it going, everybody? My name is Rojo, and welcome to StarCrawlers. This is a dungeon crawler roguelite set in a cyberpunkish sci-fi type of setting, and it's something that's definitely right up my alley. It's been in early access for quite a long time, I think, and only released a few days ago in May 2017 here. But yeah, we're gonna give it a shot. We're gonna see what we do. I've played some of the game, and I've tried out all the classes. So we'll be going with a particular character, which I think is interesting. So this is Luna. Here we are, boss. Terminus IX hub for the sector. Maybe it's nicer inside than it looks from out here. Well, I guess we'll find out. Word is the bartender runs the wire here. He's the one you should talk to about getting some jobs. Plenty of creds to be made if we get on his good side. Time for a drink then. Okay, so we gotta make our, I don't know, I guess like our main dude, basically. We're gonna get to assemble a team of up to 4 characters on any given mission. But we have to choose somebody to start with. Now, Cyber Ninjas, I think, are cool, but we will not be going with a Cyber Ninja. We've got, they play out like a little bit like rogues, if you're familiar with, like, World of Warcraft style rogues. We have engineers, which are pretty sweet. They can, like, build robots and stuff, and then they have this gigawatts resource that lets them do their abilities. Force Psychers are kind of like thematically speaking, a mix between like a paladin and like a monk almost, but they got like these psychic abilities. Good at defense and support and stuff like that. And then we got our hackers, which are extremely useful. And they've got like a lot of debuffs and dots and stuff like that, and some really nice support abilities. Then smugglers, very stylish, very cool. They're good with pistols if you choose for them to be so, and then they also have this sort of more utility support tree, which is based on using your credits, your money, and maybe a little bit of luck. And they can set some traps too. And then we've got the soldiers, which are they have a very straightforward like tank tree. They've got an explosives tree, which does a bunch of damage, and then they've got the specialist tree, which kind of changes their skill set up a little bit, or I guess their expertise up a little bit, depending on what kind of weapon they have equipped. There's a few different types of weapons, which we'll see. But then we also have the Void Psyker, which is what we're going to be going with for our first character. And I haven't even thought of a name for this guy. We already got somebody named Drellix, that's like my go-to, but we're using that name in Star Wars, so I feel like I should come up with something new. Use Bartholomew, which would have been a good name. How about Jekyll? Jekyll. Why not? I don't know, man. We're gonna be called Jekyll. Now, the Void Psyker. If you're thinking, you know, Cthulhu, well, you're at least the third right, because we have a whole tree dedicated to summoning cosmic horrors from the void and shit like that. But then they've also got this sort of really heavy damage type of tree. And then they've got this other tree, which is like kind of support and debuffs and stuff like that. And they have void energy. Basically, as they use some of their abilities, they'll get more void energy, and they have a chance, if they have too much void energy, to overload and their head explodes, sort of, and does a bunch of damage to everybody, allies and self included. And I think that's kind of fun. So we will be making a Void Psyker. We're going to play on hardcore mode, because I'm a real bad dude who doesn't play by anybody's rules, not even his own. So this is going to mean no auto healing and other just generally bad things. But I've played a little bit on hardcore mode. I imagine we'll have to switch up our tactics eventually, but I found it to be challenging but not impossible to have some amount of success on on hardcore mode, in the lower levels at least. You know, I'm sure it gets much more challenging. I will not be doing Iron mode, though, which is your standard, like, Iron Man 1 save kind of deal. And that is just for the sake of sanity and being able to hopefully complete the series in the face of dire circumstances. So, yeah, we get to make a backstory for our character, which is kind of cool. So we can choose one of these three, and it will unlock basically additional conversation options and stuff like that for us. And I think we're going to go with Cursed Child. So bandits broke into the shack on the outskirts of Ibris to find you alone. When your parents returned, they couldn't explain the corpses ringing your crib or the horrified expressions etched on their faces. We get Fringe Culture. Then, in adulthood, we are going to be going with Chimera Test Subject here for this extra accuracy. Basically, the Chimera, I can't remember, I think it's like Chimera Biocorp or something like that. They're one of the many corporations in the game that we'll get to interact with. But the Chimera doctors weren't the vile shadow men you saw in your dreams. They were kind and sympathetic. They ran tests and asked questions, but eventually they let you go in the Fringe. And we have to choose who we are now, so we could be a seeker and get some extra credits, be a lunatic and get some crit, some damage, and a health penalty, or we could be a dark wanderer and get a rare accessory to start with. We are going to be a lunatic. They say you can't move things with your mind, but you can. They say the writhing tentacles are just in your brain, but no, you put the tentacles in their brains. Oh, they will see. They will all see. I like that. So there you go. There's our character. We are Jekyll, the Void Psyker, and we are a little bit on the crazy side for good reason. Alright, welcome to STIX. So this is kind of like our main hub between missions. We do have some ability points to spend. We'll spend those in a moment here. We're going to go into Doc Sam's saloon first, though. A haggard-looking bartender is working the bar, his mech arm continuing to wipe down the pitted counter as he sizes you up. Evening. Haven't seen you here before, so welcome to Station Terminus IX, Jewel of the Sector. Locals call her STIX for short. What's your poison? The shadows gather. I must enter the maelstrom. You will aid on this dire path. I have sensed it. He frowns. God's another barmy psyker. That makes 3 this cycle. We take all sorts here. But mind you keep the babbling and manifesting to a minimum, yeah? Folks get antsy when you lot start sprouting tendrils. Oh geez. Taking a long drag from his cigar, Doc stares at you evenly. Trouble is, I'm not hiring janitors at the moment. And I sense some sarcasm. Just funning with you. It's not every cycle I get a new crawler. He leans forward on the creaking bar. Trouble is, my wire terminal is on the fritz. I can't get you any work until it's fixed. Maybe you could do me a favor and grab some spare parts from the basement? Is this some kind of fucking tutorial? Do you think this is a game? Well, now that you mention it, but I do need the parts. Actually, hold up and listen, punk. Crosses his arms and regards you evenly. Lesson 1 of crawling, don't be too quick to turn down a paying job. It's not all high-stakes heists. Sometimes you gotta make do with what's on offer, even if it's pilfering a shipload of stuffed space monkey bears. Alright, I'll do it. He waves you off and turns to deal with the surly customer, calling to you over his shoulder as he goes. Thanks much, I'll stick it on the job board, check it out, and then head down to the basement whenever. Watch out for Sudsies. Who the fuck is Sudsy? Had to toss that guy out, tab as long as my arm. Put the job on the board for you? So as you can see how that works. Alright, let's go ahead and check the job board. Before we learn to crawl, we have to learn to manifest the void from our brains, I guess. Either way, this is our first mission. We're gonna accept this. We're gonna launch this bad boy. We can spend our skill points once we get in here, so we don't need to worry too much about that. So yeah, most of the missions in this game are gonna be, I believe, randomly generated. As far as both the details of the mission go and the layout and loot and all that kind of stuff. However, the first couple missions are handcrafted, I believe, as well as maybe all of the story missions or some of the story missions. I'm not sure, honestly. But let's go ahead and take a look at our character here. So we start out with a melee weapon. We can use light armor. We can use... Everybody can use every type of shield. There are differences. We'll talk about those later at some point. And then we have a useless accessory. But more importantly, we have some abilities here. Now, I think that I want to go down this tree eventually. This is going to give us a lot of just straight up damage abilities. This one is interesting and fun, if maybe a little less predictable. And then this one is a little bit more supporty. And I think I'm going to go down this one first, actually. So we're going to start off with this drain ability, which is going to basically give us the ability to knock people's shields down, which shields are things that, you know, it's just a buffer against damage, basically, until all the shields are drained. We'll see when we're in combat, but yeah, we'll spend all 3 points right now. The way it works is you gotta spend, you know, 3 points, 6 points, 9 points, etc. in a given tree to be able to get the next tier of ability. So that's where we're gonna start, I think, and we'll actually, I take it back. We're gonna put 2 points here. We're gonna put 1 point here and get Shadow Bolt for another different kind of attack option. But yeah, that'll be fine. So you can see this. You know, if you watched the Grimrock series on the channel, plays very much like that. It's a grid-based system, but we can have we have mouse look active at all times, basically. So the movement feels a little bit smoother. We got this. Something we can sell on the black market, which we will learn more about at a later time. Let me see, there's something amiss with this, actually. Whoa, look at that. That's our first secret, baby. Was it worth it? We got a small med kit. I mean, it wasn't not worth it. Alright, tutorial. So, we have to find a switch to get this door open. I think we can handle that. Maybe this switch that has just appeared, magically. Oh, and we have an event. These will pop up from time to time as we explore dungeons or, you know, ships or whatever it is we're doing. As the door grinds open, a small hooded figure darts through and past you towards the exit door. It pauses and cautiously turns to study you. It appears to be a small child, probably a station urchin. Underneath the tatters of a filthy cloak, you see a glint of something shiny. Shall we frighten the child with nightmarish visions of the void? I think we shall. You lash out with your thoughts to frighten the urchin, but are immediately overcome with sickening nausea as something much stronger pushes back. Doubled over in agony, you see the child watching calmly before turning and stepping into the shadows. As the child vanishes, your nausea fades. That didn't go so well. I think we even might have taken 1 point of damage from that. I'm not sure. Alright. So here we have a trap. And we need to find a way to disable this trap if we want to go through unharmed. So why don't we take a look this way instead. So we have a different... couple different options here because we split up our points. It doesn't really matter. You'll always be able to open this door because it's a tutorial, but we will menace the door, or menace the door, excuse me, with the power of the void. And lo, it has opened. We knew that it would. Alright, so we can manually hack this panel. We can at least attempt it. And we have succeeded. Witness the power of the void indeed. What has it done? Well, it has taken care of these lasers, for starters. Now, on those events, depending on what your class is, for example, if we were a hacker, maybe we would have some different options. And combat. Alright. Our very first combat. Versus Sudsy, no less. I think we've been had. Let's take a look at one thing real quick. So we can click on this to kind of get an idea of what a enemy looks like. He doesn't have any shields or anything, so we don't need to worry about that. So we have our Drain, which does some damage, and we have Shadow Bolt, which does damage. Doesn't really matter what we do right now. There is no situation where we lose this fight. We have just been shined. How dare he? So we are the sparkliest, or sparkles, there we go. We have been scrubbed. Very well, Sudsy. I'll play your game. And we're just beating the shit out of a robot who was doing nothing but trying to help us. So, aside from Drain and Shadow Bolt, we can also just do a Strike, which is just our basic attack. With whatever weapon we happen to have equipped. And as we do attacks, basically we'll move back in the timeline. As there are more enemies, you'll see. But, yeah, you see where that arrow is. That shows where we're going to end up after we do this action, basically. He has been smoten. And what do we have here? We found some loot. The loot we found is a sword of some kind, which we should probably equip. You can see the stat changes if Jekyll equips this item. 16 versus 14 damage. We get some additional shield piercing, more crit. It's a little bit faster, and we get some dodge, and it can be upgraded. So there you go. The reason we didn't get an item back in our inventory is because I think there's like some kind of like basic weapon that you're always assumed to have, and we cannot sell it. But there you go. Mission complete. Easy stuff. As you stroll through the station, a cloaked figure sidles up to you. Ah, new adventurers in our humble station, yes. I can always spot a potential business partner from a parsec away. Fringe culture. I don't want to buy a space rock, Mr. Goggles. My home is in the rim, and the rim is in my head, okay? Droll inclines his head respectfully, his eyes veiled behind his goggles. Chummer, it takes one to know one, as they say, and I know you. Shifty glances and careful movements. You're no core bumbler come to gawk at a wayward rim folk. I'd never run a gambit on a local. Not good for business, yes? Now give this a listen and tell me what you think. I'm listening. Indeed, here. He hands you a small glowing cube from the folds of his robe. This is an Aeon cube. Bring me any that you find and I'll trade you for them. Keep that as an example of my good favor and what to look for when you're crawling. What is it? A mere bauble, really. A marketing trinket from a Ramazon that was produced en masse before the company went bankrupt. You'll notice a unique serial etched into each casing. Quite the collectible for the idle rich, but otherwise worthless. Why are you collecting them? A client has contracted me to acquire as many as possible for a private collection. They're trading rare gear in exchange, and I, most humbly, am broker for the transaction. Before you ask, no, you cannot meet the client or deliver the cubes yourself. My client values privacy, and I value my cut. And what are you trading them for? An excellent question. My client has access to some incredibly rare and exotic gear, weapons, and such you would never find out here on the rim. Drop by my shop and see what's on offer. We will keep an eye out for them. Excellent. I am most pleased by your business acumen, and I'm sure you'll be most pleased by the sweet, sweet swag I'm offering in exchange. Bye-bye now. Droll turns sharply on his heel and slinks back to the black market, which is right down here, and we're actually going to go visit him real quick. So we have something to auction. It's this lunchbox that we picked up. Unfortunately, none of the corps want to buy it, but he will sell it for us for 20 credits. Or rather, give us 20 credits, and he will sell it for whatever amount he can get for it. But, yeah, we can buy rando gear from him. Basically, mystery loot crates. Or we can trade in these cubes to get some rather Some rather nice stuff, but we don't have enough cubes right now. We've only got the one. So that will have to wait for another time. I think, for now, let's just head back to the saloon here. Doc glances up as you enter. Hey there, Space Face. Looks like Sudsy was no obstacle and you returned victorious, wire parts in hand. You do something different with your armor? It's sparkling. Sudsy's soul's spark in the ether now. Oh, that's dark. Nah, just my way of having a little fun with the newbies. No hard feelings, eh? Don't worry about Sudsy. Gives our engineer Tallery something to fix. You should head to her store if you're looking to gear up. He grabs the spare part and turns to his wire terminal. Up and running shortly. In the meantime, Tallery just posted a local job. Check the job board in a minute. Tell me more about the station. Well, not much to tell as to interest you. We're stationed Terminus IX, or STIX if you're a local. As the name implies, we're the ass end of nowhere, so you'll be getting most of your supplies on station, except in which you can acquire on runs. Is there anybody that I should meet? Tallery Hobbs is the station engineer and runs a general store. She's a mite short, but a whiz when it comes to fixing up anything with mechanical parts. She also brings in a steady supply of weapons and armor from off-station and sells them at a decent price, so go see her if your gear gets dicey. Anybody else? Lucas Filch runs our med bay, so head there if you need patching up, which I'm sure we will eventually. He also sells med kits that can save your bacon in the field, plus chems if you're into that kind of thing. And anything else? Yar! A new fella arrived a few cycles ago, set up shop in the space below. Not sure what he's purveying, but he's been getting shipments of unmarked crates pretty regularly. Have to investigate that one for yourself. Anything else? That's about all I know that might interest you. I'm hoping to get a few new amenities in the future, but we can talk more about that later. Okay. Alright. How much money do we have? We have $50. We cannot hire any new people. That's okay, though. I think we will call it an episode here. That has been the tutorial mission and the general introduction to StarCrawlers. I'm looking forward to playing a lot more of this. And building out our team of crawlers to get rich or die trying, I guess. I'm not really sure what our overall goal is. But we'll find out. So, till next time, my name has been Rojo, and thanks for watching.